Hello, welcome back to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas, and this is the third part of the Renault Alpine A110 1600S in 1/24 by Hella. Before we start, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay notified for future builds. Today we're working on the interior. I painted this interior tub in matte black, and then there was a kind of pocket section in the middle which was done in silver metallic from Tamiya. The gear stick they wanted to be entirely in matte black, but I decided to do part of it in silver to help it stand out. Similarly, I did the pedals in flat aluminium. I used superglue to fit most of these in place, similarly with this box section that goes in the back, as the kit doesn't really have pinholes for parts to fit. The bucket seats are really nicely moulded, and I looked at some pictures of real ones to get some idea of what the 4-point seatbelt harnesses would look like. I decided to use some black ribbon. Firstly, I cut a piece of about 6 centimeters for the waist belt, and then I added a little blob of superglue and looped the smaller part, which was about 5 centimeters, around for the shoulder straps. I then did another one about 1 centimeter apart and folded over the straps at the bottom. Be careful where you put your fingers and tools in this case, because you don't want to glue them to the belts. I decided to use a spare bit of sprue which I painted black as the belt buckle, and then use a small amount of red vinyl tape as the release switch, as that's what the belts look like in the example pictures. I then simply put them into the position that I wanted them to be in, folded over the backs, and used a bit of superglue to hold them into place. I also added a little bit of superglue to help them kind of recess into the seat. These door cards had already been painted in the same metallic blue as the exterior, so I then got a little bit of matte black and painted around the outside of the kind of door frame pattern. Found this narrow brush with the long flexible bristles was really useful for doing these kind of sweeping curves. Once I was satisfied with my coverage with the black paint, I used a little bit of silver metallic on the end of a cocktail stick to do the handles. The dashboard is very well moulded. I did it in the same black and looked at some reference pictures to try and get an accurate idea of the colours. The dials on the dashboard, the kind of instrument dials, all had a silver surround. However, the decals didn't have this, so before putting them in place, I used the same sort of silver on the end of a cocktail stick to do the surrounds. I wasn't too bothered about getting the silver on the inside of the dials because they'd be covered with decals, but I really made sure that it didn't spill on the outside. Pretty happy with that. Then added some other colours, including silver, red and green, to some of the other dials. These didn't have decals, so I tried to add details that I could. Finding interior pictures of the genuine Monte Carlo rally winning car seemed to be almost impossible, and the instructions for painting this in the manual supplied by Hella just didn't seem to be accurate enough. The decals for the instrument displays are very good, however some of the smaller ones, specifically the three that go in between the two larger decals here, are a little bit smaller than the recesses. A little bit disappointed with that. This is a kind of lap timer machine, I believe. All looks pretty good as far as I'm aware. I really like the two stopwatches on the dash. I then came back to doing the seats. I wanted to add the UMP logos to the shoulder straps, but I knew that the decal paper wouldn't stick to the ribbons, so I fitted a little bit of black vinyl onto the shoulder, and then once I was happy that that had set, I then used some of the UMP decals that I had in a seatbelt set that I got recently. Pretty happy with how that looks. The yellow really sort of stands out, I believe. It's now time to stick the body work to the interior tub. There are also these kind of arches that go around the front wheels. The seats are positioned in sort of tracks, which is quite nice because it means that you can adjust them. I've moved the driver's seat forward and the co-driver's seat backwards, which I think is accurate to what it would be in a real rally car. A little bit of light pressure kept them in place till they were glued. For the steering wheel, in order to make it look more realistic, I decided to use my pin vise drill to drill the holes through, as you can see here on the real one. Firstly used about 0.3 millimeters for the inside holes, and then went down to 0.2 millimeters for the outside holes. The positions of these are marked, and also I used the blue tack trick as shown in one of my recent tip videos, which really helps not to apply too much pressure. Some of them were a little bit wonky, but I think it has really improved the look on the basic part that came with the kit. Then just push the drill through to remove any of the excess plastic shavings. The outside was done in semi-gloss black and the inside in flat aluminium, and there is a small Alpine badge which goes in the centre. There's then a couple of pieces which need to be glued on. I think this might be the handbrake, but I don't really know. If you do know, please let me know in the comments. Sort of handle appears, and then there is a kind of block that goes underneath the instrument dials, which has got a small pin on the centre, which you then fit the steering wheel onto. Obviously I dry fitted all these before gluing them on, but again used super glue because I just didn't feel that the points were strong enough for poly cement. Now this top of the dash fits above it, it's done in matte black, and there are a few details which I added in silver. This actually needs to be glued to the inside of the bodywork rather than the interior tub, but just as a demonstration of what it all looks like, I put it together with the seats to show you in a moment. These door cards were also glued in place with super glue. Gives a nice outline to the shape of the door. and here is the finished interior tub. Like I said, I won't be leaving the dashboard in place like this, but it fit in quite nicely to kind of give you an idea of what the car might look like when finished. Thanks a lot for watching. Please do leave a comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.